Rolling. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Niner Wire. I'm your host, Sam, and it's been a minute since we're back. I know, been a lot going on. But today, the season starts tomorrow. Niners play Sunday, so we got to do season predictions. And with me, again, season predictions. We did this last year. We're running it back again. We got my guy, Jake, right here. Jake, they all know I'm at college. Tell about your college experience. How's everything been, man?
It's great. I'm in Indiana, so I'm getting that Midwest lifestyle. Got a nice farmer stand going now, so
There you go.
yeah, feeling good.
Yeah, man. I mean, exciting times for both of us. Glad I could get you on. Great to catch up. And today, guys, it's basically what we did last year. We have a spreadsheet right here. We got all the teams, or like all the numbers, rankings, and everything. We're just going to predict the order of the standings. We'll do our playoff predictions, predict where the teams are going to go, this and that, you name it. And let's get right into it. But before we do that, gotta do the intros as always. Make sure to follow me on Twitter right here at NinerWireSam. Been posting a lot of content on there. Probably gonna be posting more content there than I am on YouTube. Obviously, we're doing Talking Niners. That's still going on. The Niner Wire stuff, it's cutting down a little bit. I already told you on Twitter, but this is one of those special days. I kind of got to do something. Speaking of Talking Niners, make sure to check it out. Me, Kobe, running all that. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Talking Niners Pod, all that stuff. And as always, if you got any questions, comments, concerns, make sure to leave them in the live chat below. Without further ado, let's get right into it. And Jake, I guess we'll start with you. So obviously, this is what we did last year. We have the AFC East, AFC North, AFC South, AFC West, you name it. Then you got the playoffs right now. We can do the playoff standings once we finish predicting all the divisions. Then we'll do the playoff picture and finish with the Super Bowl prediction at the end. So, Jake, let's kick it off. AFC East. We're just going order from East to West, AFC, NFC. So, Jake, start off with your AFC East predictions in the standings.
Okay, I'll go bottom to top. Started off bottom. It's the Jets. They're still rebuilding, and as much as you want to see Robert Saleh and make a change right away, it's not going to happen. Zach Wilson is still a rookie, and that defense and that offensive line are still being put together. I think they could be a more fun team to watch offensively, not putting up the whatever anemic 200 points they did last year. But outside of that, I don't think they're going to give any team in this division a run for the money. Above that, I think it's going to be the Pats still. I pretty much have the same standings as last year. Again, it's Mac Jones. It's a rookie. And as much as I want their defense to be very much improved, they do have Stephon Gilmore starting on the, what, is it IR or
PUP
PUP?
list.
Is it PUP?
He's on the PUP, so that's like 6 games, I think.
Yeah, so that's a big loss, obviously. And I think this team will be improved. I do think they're going to get that 8-9 win mark just because they are the Pats, and as bad as they were last year, they still found a way to win 7 games. But I don't know. They're borderline playoff to me. Then we get into the Dolphins. Again, very much if Tua can come out and master this new playbook, more of a stretch than he did last year, I think they can go out and be a solid playoff contender and maybe even push the Bills for the division lead. But the right now for me, it's obviously the Bills. There's no team I don't think they can compete with right now in the NFL. Josh Allen took a big leap forward, and I don't see him regressing back to what he was before.
Yeah, and as you guys saw, I just copied that because I have the exact same standing predictions for the AFC East. And overall, I think it's pretty fair to say the Bills are going to win the division. This should be one of the best teams, if not the best team in football, especially in the AFC. You got Josh Allen. They bolstered their defense. Gregory Rousseau had a great preseason. I thought he was going to take a little bit more time, but he looked great right off the bat for preseason, so that's always a good sign. Miami had a pretty good season last year. I think they're going to bounce back, maybe make the playoffs. We'll get into that a bit later. But obviously the big question is quarterback. Can Tua succeed in Miami? The defense is fantastic. They got more weapons with Jalen Waddle, Will Fuller, 2 great offseason additions. Their O-line looks a bit better as well this year, so that's always great. New England, I know there's a ton of Pats fans at Syracuse. I'll say they're so just homers saying that Mac Jones, next big thing. We'll have to see. He could be. But overall, a ton of people think the Patriots are going to do well here. I don't really think they're doing well. I think you're looking at something like a 500 season round there. So that's what I'm thinking for the New England Patriots. And the Jets at 4th. They're nowhere near ready to compete. Obviously, you had that Carl Lawson injury. That really killed their defense. So overall, I think the New York Jets are going to be pretty much finished 4th. And I have to say, this is probably my in my opinion, this is probably the safest prediction, the AFC East. I think this is probably my safest prediction with all my standings in this order, because I think other than that, the divisions can really change. Obviously, stuff will change, but I think I'm most confident in my AFC East predictions. All right, moving on to the AFC North. I guess I'll start this one off. We can just alternate. Number one is going to be the Cleveland Browns. They had a phenomenal season last year. I think they have one of the best defenses in football. Added two key pieces that they needed, nickel cornerback and Troy Hill, safety and John Johnson. Added both those guys onto their team. I think that works out really well for them. You obviously got that pass rush of Myles Garrett. Also added Tack McKinley. Not the best, but still helps your defense a little bit. Also, JOK round 2. Hello, that is a phenomenal pick right there. And on the offensive side, they have a fantastic O-line. Good receiving core with Odell, Jarvis Landry. It could be better, but you know what? That's a good 1-2 punch right there. Baker Mayfield could have he had a great season last year, but he could have another phenomenal season. Running back core, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, another great 1-2 punch for that team. Second place, we're going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. Again, a very run-heavy offense. They did lose J.K. Dobbins. I'm not too concerned about that. The only question, their defense is good. The question is, can the receivers step up? And it's hard for me to say they will. So I think that's why I'm going number 2 for them. Pittsburgh at number 3, the Steelers right there. I think you look at this Pittsburgh Steelers, they're not necessarily an aging team, but they have a ton of guys who, I don't know, Big Ben's aging. They have a good receiving core. Their defense did get a little bit worse. It seems like it's aging a little bit. They had a great defense last year, but they lost guys like Bud Dupree, lost a ton of other guys. So overall, I think Pittsburgh will finish 3rd. And then last place, I think it's the Cincinnati Bengals. They're a good team, just not ready just yet, in my opinion.
Yeah, going bottom to top. I agree with you on the Bengals last. I think that their offense, as much as I want them to be really good, they do have to play tough defenses in Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland in 6 games, that's going to be brutal, honestly.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Cold weather conditions. It's going to be a rough year for Burrow coming back off of that. What did he tore his meniscus and his ACL and
it was
his
something
MCL.
like that.
It was something crazy combo.
It was brutal.
So I think they're and then I have 3rd. I have the Steelers. I think again, this top 3 is going to be tight, and these games are going to be fun to watch. They're going to be competitive. The Steelers, I think it all just comes down to, for me, Big Ben. Can he come back from that Tommy John surgery, and will his elbow be the same as it was before? Because he has that great receiving core. He has Najee now. The O-line is reconstructed, somewhat better. We'll have to see, but that defense is really talented. Right above them, I have the Browns finishing 2nd. I just don't think they make that step ahead of the Ravens. I don't know if their offense and Baker Mayfield is that good to step up. I mean, I watched that game against the Chiefs last year where they played against Chad Henne, and it's like, okay, like, come on, let's go, guys, let's go. I'm waiting. Like, yeah, I
feel that.
Let's do it. Like, the Chiefs defense isn't very good. Like, come on. And then they couldn't pull it through. And they didn't make any monumental changes on that offense. So, and then number 1, I got Baltimore. I think, again, like you said, they did lose Justice Hill and J.K. Dobbins, but they extended Andrews. They have Jackson, that dynamic speed, and their defense is still insane. So I have them taking home the AFC North.
Yeah, probably going to be a 2-way battle between Baltimore and Cleveland. Joel says, I don't have confidence in Hollywood Brown. I mean, he hasn't proven anything yet. So there's still, you could prove something this year, but time's winding down for Hollywood Brown. Entering his 3rd year in the NFL, got to prove something this year. All right, let's move over to the AFC South. I guess I'll start this one off again, and I'll go with Jake's format of going from bottom to top. 4th place, actually, no, 1st place is going to be the Houston Tech. No, I'm just kidding. They're going to be in last place. This is the worst team in football. They should have the number 1 pick. I really don't need to say much about the Houston Texans. 3rd place, we're going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, they're going to be improved, but coming off a 1-15 season, they should be a below 500 team. I like their offense. They added Trevor Lawrence. They improved their offense. Should be a good season for them. 2nd place, you're probably going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. That's what I'm going with. I think my only concern for them is, can Carson Wentz bounce back It's going to be an interesting season. I do think he can, but also you got some injury concerns with that team. Their defense is stacked, so it could work out really well for them. So they can be in first place, but in first place, I am going to go with the Tennessee Titans. I think the offense is just going to win this division over, and the Tennessee Titans, with bolstered wide receiver core with Julio Jones. Their defense, their secondary is okay still. They improved it a little bit with Caleb Farley. Again, a very raw prospect, so you have to see a little bit more for him. But overall, I think the Tennessee Titans are going to win the AFC South in a close battle with the Colts.
Yeah, I got the bottom two the same as you. I think you've got the future number one pick in the Texans and last year's number one pick in the Jaguars, and they're just not going to turn it around that quick. I actually have the top two teams flipped, where I have the Titans going second and the Colts going first. I just think the Colts, they're so talented on defense, and that offensive line, once Quentin Nelson gets back, they have a pretty underrated receiving core with Pittman, Pascal, and Paris Campbell. And then big man Mo Alley Cox in the receiving game. And obviously, that trio of running backs is pretty good, getting Marlon Mack back. So I think that they're going to take it home. The Titans, as I think their offense is going to be, they had a lot of weeks last year where that defense just could not hold anybody. And it let good teams be in games they shouldn't have been. So that's what it comes down to for me. I just think the Colts are the more complete team.
Yeah, I definitely feel it. It's going to be an interesting battle. I think the Colts D, a lot of people say Colts D has the upper edge. I can definitely see that happening. I'm going to go with Tennessee for now. I think it's a bit of a safer pick, in my opinion. I think Colts is a bit more of a risky pick. I'm going to take the safe route with the AFC South right now. Go the Tennessee Titans. Jake, obviously going the more risky route.
You're relying on Carson Wentz being not what he was last year, but
exactly.
I mean, what was the receiving
2017? Yeah, 2017. You're looking at 2017 Carson Wentz. Also, the receiving core in Indianapolis, very unproven. Michael Pittman, wide receiver one. He was okay last year. Got to prove something this year if he wants to be the wide receiver one, and if he wants the Colts to make the playoffs.
What? T.Y.'s out the first 6, 7. So
except T.Y. also did nothing last year.
What? I mean, T.Y. Hilton was good down the stretch. Let's look up these stats for T.Y. Hilton.
Last year you had, I think, Paris Campbell. He tore his
PCL. 760 receiving yards last year.
Okay, that's not that bad. I remember him being terrible at the beginning of the year. That's probably what happened. But
yeah, he picked it up at the end, but it wasn't anything earth-shattering. It was just, I mean, he had an 100-yard game against the Texans. It was Texans though. So
that is true. Yeah, I mean that's always a pretty easy schedule to say the least. So going to be interesting to see what happens to the AFC South. Probably going to be that two-way battle with the Jags and Texans finishing last, respectively. All right, Jake, Raiders are in the AFC West. Your Raiders. How about you start off with the AFC West predictions?
Yeah. Starting it off, God, this is tough. This is a good division. I think this division's actually underrated top to bottom just because I think the Broncos have something. And every time, because obviously I watch a lot of AFC West football, being a Raiders, and every time we play the Broncos, it would just be like, oh my God, this is a good team with a bad quarterback. And I think Bridgewater, he's not a great quarterback, but he's fine. And he's not going to lose you any games. But if they can get that running game going, if they can get those receivers that are very talented in open space, I mean, you're talking about Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick, Noah Fant, Alberto. They've definitely invested some draft capital there. So, honestly, I think they're still going to be last just because I don't think that Bridgewater brings you over the top, and they're not going to be able to control games. But, again, it's going to be close. You're looking at a 7-8 win team there in a 17-game season. Right above them, I think the Raiders are, again, in that 8 or 9, 7 to 9 win range. If their defense can do anything, their offense. I mean, did you watch that Keyshawn Johnson on First Take where he said that Derek Carr was an elite quarterback?
I did not see that. Was that recently?
It was like, I don't know. It came up on my ESPN feed today, so I thought that was funny. But Yeah, if they can do anything, I mean, you didn't get any, they were 2-6 at home because you essentially didn't have any fans, so they weren't home games, right? Like, so they could
I
be
mean,
improved
at
there.
the same time, like the Chargers also, like it's literally away fans. So it's basically I'm not making that as a joke. Like I'm dead serious right now. I mean, you can say the same thing for every team as well. Like the Chargers,
Well,
I was saying the Chargers, but like every team as well. I guess, yeah.
what do you say? Well, I mean, the Chargers, yes, but that's not going to change for the Chargers this year. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's okay. That makes more sense. Oh, I mean, well, I guess a better example is like it's changing for everyone. With like, because most teams did not have fans last year, and the Niners, obviously, Raiders, Rams, Chargers also didn't have any fans last year. And then even like teams, I don't know. There's other teams that didn't have any fans last year. Buffalo didn't have fans for the majority of the season, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot what you said right there, but whatever.
It's fine. Second, I have the Chargers. I think they are in that upper echelon of probably playoff teams in the AFC. It'll be very competitive. But Herbert, I was so pessimistic on him going into the draft, and he showed me what I could not see, in that he can throw the ball deep and he can bring his eyes from just running up and pass downfield. Obviously, he's being helped by Keenan Allen and now Jared Cook and Williams. But I just think that if you get a full, healthy Austin Eckler, that defense should be, again, improved. What is Derwin James back for week 1, or is he?
He is, yeah. Derwin James is back.
And so he's obviously an all-world talent when he's on the field, which is very rarely. But I don't think you compete with the Chiefs. I don't think I mean, you saw the Raiders be like the first AFC West team since I can remember to beat the Chiefs for a while last year. But I just don't think that any team is going to, even in the whole AFC, is on that level of echelon, like upper elite team, you know. So I got Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos.
Yeah, I definitely can see a lot of that happening. I'm going to do the same thing as you, except for one slight change. So first place Chiefs, second place Chargers. In the end, I think the Raiders are going to finish in last place. And as you said, the Broncos have everything except for a quarterback. And I think that's why they're going to finish just ahead of the Raiders. The Raiders are missing a lot of pieces. Their defense is pretty much depleted. Their offensive line is a question mark. They drafted Alex Leatherwood, but lost a ton of other key pieces. Receiver core lost their best receiver last year, and Aguilar didn't really improve that position too much. So overall, that's why I think the Raiders are going to finish last place. Broncos, I kind of just explained it, and you hit the nail on the hammer on the nail right there with the Los Angeles Chargers. I think this team could definitely compete for a playoff spot. Could definitely make a playoff run, kind of similar to what they did in 2019. If they have a healthy team. They got a new coach now who's not going to blow it towards the end. I think the Los Angeles Chargers could have a phenomenal season. And first place is the Chiefs. I think that's kind of obvious. You can't really go above and beyond with that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, let's do the AFC playoff predictions before we go to the NFC standings. So, Jake, I'll start with you first. Rank the teams 1 through 7 that you think are winning the divisions and all the wild card teams. So, your predictions are right there as well.
This is gonna sound kind of stupid, but there's 7 teams in the playoffs this year, right?
Yes, there are 7 teams in the playoffs.
Okay, sorry. I had to make sure before I made a fool out of myself.
Yeah, no, I feel that. It's been like 6 forever, so.
Okay, going top to bottom, I think it's gonna go. We're going Chiefs. Like I said, I don't think any team's coming close. I don't see how they lose more than 3 games. Like, it's kind of dumb luck when they lose. The Raiders beat them last year in a big shootout, and they lost when they benched all their starters, and that was it. So I don't see that changing. And then right below them, I have the Colts, actually, just because I think they'll have a better record, even though I don't think they're a better team than the Bills, the Ravens. They get to play the Texans and Jaguars, which are just gimme games. Like, you get 4 free wins, especially for them.
I like that. I like that idea right there.
If they blow any of those games, they're not winning the division anyway. So, but I think that could give them the edge to get to 12 or 13. Or I guess it would be 13 or 14 with 17 games. But that the Ravens and the Bills just don't have that luxury. And And then below them, I have the Bills because, again, with a similar thought process, I still think that the Bengals are a better team than the Jets, where the Bills get to play the Jets twice, but they still do have to play the Dolphins and the Patriots. So it's not a walk in the park. But they are a good team, and their defense and Josh Allen will keep them close enough in most games, which leaves the Ravens as the bottom 4 team. They'll have to play. How does the whole playoff system work this year?
It goes so it's 2v7, 3v6, 4v5, and then
Okay.
so I have that laid out, and then the high seed plays the low seed. In the division round, it's the high seed plays the low seed, and the 2 middle seeds will play each other.
Okay, and then the number 1 playoff team, or the number 1 wild card, pardon me, I think I got the Browns, who had them win the division. They looked pretty good last year, and if they take any steps forward, you could see them being an elite contender, if not a Super Bowl contender. And then after the Browns, I have the Dolphins. I think basically it's whoever turns out to be the better team out of the Dolphins and the Pats, maybe winning those AFC East matchups, will end up with one of those wildcard spots. And right now I have the Dolphins just because I really need to see something from Mac Jones before I commit fully. At least I saw Tua play an NFL game, even if it was a underwhelming few. And then, I'm still debating between Steelers and the Chargers. I think I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Debate. I think Chargers. All right.
I'm going to go Chargers simply because you get a couple games against, if they come out and they are clearly better than the Raiders and the Broncos, then you have those games where, again, the Steelers, you have to play the Ravens, you have to play the Browns, you have to play the Bengals, which are no slouch. The Bengals, how do you differentiate the Bengals from a team even the Raiders? They're not that different. I get that Burrow's coming off that injury, but you've got a probably improved offensive line there. Defense any defense is better than the Raiders, so I don't know what to say about that.
I feel that.
My playoff teams.
Perfect. Yeah, we have very similar playoff teams, which is interesting. I think I have all those teams in my playoffs, except for the Titans and one of those teams out, which I will show you right now. So first off, I have the Chiefs in first place. I don't think anyone's beating them. Again, they're kind of on another level. I definitely think that Kansas City will do really well this year. Should be a really fun season for the Kansas City Chiefs. Yet again, another team that's in Super Bowl contention mode. Second seed, I'm going to go Buffalo. I wasn't really using your ideology of playing those weaker teams. I was just looking at who's the better team, not necessarily predicting their games, but I also think Buffalo just they have a good offense. As I said earlier, they bolster their defense. I think Buffalo is going to be the 2 seed this year. 3 seed, I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. I think Cleveland really has a good shot this year at making a strong push. And I think Cleveland, it's a tough division, but I think Cleveland, if they're going to be able to get out of that, I think it's going to work out real well for them. And then in last place, or not last place, you have the Tennessee Titans right there. I also think Cleveland's just going to be better than Tennessee in general. It was a risky pick.
I realized I was being kind of stupid. I forgot about the Titans, so swap the Chargers out for the Titans, and then we're good. I'm doing this on the fly, so
yeah. No, I feel that. Hey, we're both in college. We're both on. This stream was planned last minute, by the way. I was like, oh, maybe I have time to do a stream tonight. Jake want to come on? We did it last year, so last minute, always preparing, always doing stuff, hustling and bustling, doing all that. So yeah, fourth place I have the Titans. They're the worst of the division winners in my opinion. Then in fifth place, I'm gonna go with the Chargers in fifth place. It's kind of my bold playoff prediction, but I think the Chargers have a really good team assembled from top to bottom. There are a few holes on that team. That's why I have them as a wild card team instead of winning the division. Also, Kansas City's in that division. But I think the Los Angeles Chargers are due for a big season this year, so definitely keep an eye on them. In sixth place, I'm going to also go – ooh, it's tough. What did I say? I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. I think kind of for your reasons, I definitely think they're going to make the playoffs. It's a matter of will they win the division or not. I think I'm going to take the risk here of putting them as a wild card team. Some people have them out of the playoffs. I don't really see that at all. They made the playoffs last year. They have a great defense. So overall, I do think the Indianapolis Colts will make the playoffs. Then in 7th place, I have the Miami Dolphins slightly edging out the Baltimore Ravens. I think they're the more well-rounded team. They also are in the weaker division right now, so I definitely think that helps out using Jake's theory. So overall, I have the Miami Dolphins as the 7th seed, just edging out the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs. And moving on to the playoff prediction round by round. So I'll start this one off. So 2v7, I have the Bills and the Dolphins, the divisional matchup, and I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. I think that should be an easy win for the Buffalo Bills. They're the much better team than Miami Dolphins. I think Buffalo probably will win both games against Miami this year. We'll have to see how that is. I don't know when those games are, but I think Buffalo will win both games. Browns versus Colts. This is, again, another game I'm going with the Cleveland Browns. I think they are the better team. Colts, there's obviously that risk factor, so that's why I'm going Cleveland. And then 4v5, the Chargers playoff run continues. I'm going with the Chargers over the Tennessee Titans. They look on paper a much stronger team. I will take that. So the Los Angeles Chargers sneak into the AFC divisional round and play the Kansas City Chiefs. Their run ends right there with the Chiefs taking that game. Chiefs with a home field advantage. They will be hosting the AFC Championship for the 3rd time in this scenario. And Bills and Browns, this is going to be a bloodbath of a game. I think that the Cleveland Browns are going to come up on top. I like their team a lot better than Buffalo. A bit more well-rounded. I know that you have quarterback Baker Mayfield. It's definitely worse than Josh Allen, but overall, I think Cleveland has the more well-rounded team. So I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns over the Buffalo Bills and the Cleveland Browns. Oh, I put this in NFC for some reason. I'll switch it over while you do your things. But the Cleveland Browns are going to the Super Bowl. That just sounds weird to say, but I think they're going to be out the Chiefs. Well-rounded team. It's a bold prediction, but you know what? These are season predictions. They're always very wrong. Last year was extremely wrong for me. You had the Cowboys, I think, is like the first team in the NFC, and they missed the playoffs. So
injuries.
As soon as I said that, I realized I had the Niners winning the Super Bowl. So yeah. But I'm gonna go with the Cleveland Browns winning the AFC Championship. Definitely a bold prediction to say the least, but overall, I definitely think they have a legitimate shot at winning it all.
Okay. Okay, so I'm on my phone, so I'm reading these. 2v7, I have Colts v Titans.
Yes, you do. You have Colts Titans. You have Colts Titans.
Have the Colts winning.
You have this is interesting. You have all divisional matchups. So 2v7, you have Colts Titans, Bills Dolphins for 3-6, and Ravens Browns for 4-5.
Yeah, I do have the Colts winning the division, but I think the Titans in a one game it all comes down to it will win. They have the experience, and they have Derrick Henry, who is just a monster in the playoffs. So I don't know. I'm going to go with the Titans, and that the long-term defensive that I think gives the Colts the edge in the regular season doesn't 100% apply when it comes down to that one last game. Bills versus Dolphins. I'm going to go with Bills. It comes down to experience for me. The Bills showed that they can win playoffs last year when the scenario is in front of them, and Tua is still young and has yet to prove to me that he can win that big game. And then it's Ravens
and Browns.
Oh boy, God,
that's a tough
I so
game.
Badly want to pick the Ravens, but I've watched them in the playoffs, and no, I'm gonna go Ravens. I just think that Lamar is going to be too much for the Browns, and honestly, I would be surprised if they win any games against the Ravens this season, including the regular season.
Interesting.
I just think they're the better, more dynamic team. Okay, that makes the matchup.
So you have Chiefs and Ravens and Titans. Oh wait, no. So you have Chiefs, Titans, and Bills, Ravens.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Okay, Chiefs, Titans. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. They're so good. I've watched enough Chiefs game to know. And then it's Ravens, Bills.
Yep.
Oh boy,
another tough game. Met last year in the divisional round as well, too.
I think I'm gonna go with the Ravens here. I think they're gonna break through their playoff woes from the past and make it to the AFC Championship. I have a lot of faith in Lamar and that whole offense, as well as a solid defensive scheme. AFC champ though, you can't go wrong with the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes,
Safest pick,
Tyreek
easily.
Hill, Travis Kelce. It's inevitable. Like, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a risk for me putting the Chiefs losing the AFC Championship, but at some point it's got to stop. Can it be this year? I don't really know. We'll have to see, but I'm going to go Cleveland. He's going Kansas City. I think you probably made the better pick than I did, but you know what? We're just having fun. This could be one of my I'm not doing many streams on Niner Wire anymore, so got to give some fun while we're at it.
Yeah.
All right, NFC standings right here. NFC East. How about you start this off, Jake? What you got for the NFC East?
Okay, NFC East we're starting it off with. Okay, I got to come back to last year's pick. And at the top, well, we'll start on the bottom then. Bottom, I think it's the Eagles. You're coming in, Nick Sirianni, new head coach. Jalen Hurts, still outside of being a solid fantasy quarterback, hasn't really proved anything to me in terms of real football. And then, yeah, like their receiver core is still young. Devonta Smith. Zach Ertz is still playing tight end out there. Jalen Reagor didn't really do anything. And then above them, let's go Giants. Like, everyone was talking about how good the Giants looked for what they were last year. They were a 6-win team.
Let's not
get
good.
over our skis. They were.
And you have Daniel Jones as your quarterback, so
the winner was 7-9. You signed Kenny Golladay and have not heard one good word about him since the signing. They're going to be third, if not last. I don't see it happening for him this year. Second, I was back and forth, but I think Washington finishes second. I just don't think that Fitzmagic can give them the division berth without another Dak injury. They got an amazing defense, and if Gibson and McLaurin are the explosive players that I think they are, they're going to be really competitive. I just don't think they're as good as Dallas with that high-powered offensive Dak, and once they get those offensive line pieces, like Zach Martin, I think is going to miss week 1. Lyle might play, but they still have Zeke and CeeDee and Gallup and Cooper on that offense, and so if their defense does absolutely anything, they're going to be solid.
Yeah, I mean, you look at were you talking about Dallas or Washington?
Well, I kind of went from one to the next, but I finished with Dallas.
Gotcha right there. So, yeah, I mean, NFC East, it's always a tough division to predict. Probably the weakest in football. But, yeah, last place, Eagles. I mean, for obvious reasons, Jalen Hurts hasn't proven anything yet. So, going to be interesting to see what he does. Third place, I'm going to go with the Giants. It really could be – those two teams could flip-flop. But I think the Giants, I mean, you look at that team – not really much going from them. Their defense is okay. You got a good, okay offense. You got to improve in some places, though. So they did not really do that. Quarterback especially, Danny Dimes, really not that it for them. But I'm going to change the top two. I'm going to go Cowboys in second place, Washington in first. Reason being, I think Washington's defense is really just going to get them over the top. Cowboys' defense is horrendous. So you got to figure that out if you're the Dallas Cowboys. I know the Cowboys' offense is better. Washington, they did bolster their offense with Ron Rivera and Curtis Samuel. I think that Ron Rivera has always wanted Curtis Samuel on his team, and I think that definitely says something because it's Curtis Samuel. So overall, I think Washington's offense, not the best. I think it can improve, though. So I'm going to go with the Washington football team in first place, just ahead of the Dallas Cowboys. It should be a 1-2 battle for them in 1 and 2 in the NFC East. All right, NFC North. Lions are going to be in last place. I was trying to just think of like who's going to be the top 3. I'm kind of winging this division as well right here because I didn't really think about it. But Lions are going to be in last place. I predicted them at first last year. That completely failed. So Matt Patricia, I hate you. I don't know what to say. I don't know. Third place, we're going to go with it's tough between the Vikings and the Bears, but I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears. Actually, I'm going to go with the Vikings. Vikings for the sole reason that I think Justin Fields will come in very soon. So I think I'm going to go with the Bears in second place. Vikings have a good team, though. Good defense. They did lose some key pieces, actually, in the secondary and in the pass rush, too. Their pass rush is a bit worse. Offensively, you got Dalvin Cook. You got Adam Thielen. You got Justin Jefferson. All 3 amazing weapons. And then you got Kirk Cousins is okay. Not much to say about him. So the Vikings are going to be in third. Bears in second. I like their defense a lot. Really bolstered it. I mean, they didn't. I don't know if they really notably bolstered it, but they definitely had one of the best drafts, in my opinion, with Tevin Jenkins and Justin Fields. So I definitely, and Darnell Mooney could have a good year. Allen Robinson's back again. So it could be a very good year for the Bears. And then the Green Bay Packers are going to be in first place. And I don't really see anyone else taking over the division. I think the Green Bay Packers are one of the best teams in football this year.
Yeah. Okay. For me, yeah, I think the Lions, you're coming in with Goff without McVay. There's not a ton to say about that. Where I think it gets a little more interesting is I have the Bears third. As much as I want that, I think their defense is good and they have some solid offensive weapons. And like you said, Montgomery, Mooney, Allen Robinson. I just, there's too much pressure on the quarterback change and kind of a changing the guard in general in Chicago, where I don't think they're going to be competitive. Look for them to have a similar season to the almost like the Chargers last year, where like, yeah, Justin Fields could show some sparks, and their defense is a lot better than the Chargers was last year. But I don't think it's going to be enough to make them a competitive team, especially with, I think the Vikings are vastly improved, especially on defense, which is where they really needed to be. Mike Zimmer is a defensive head coach, and like they're going to figure it out. They had is Jeff Gladney off the team now? I don't.
He got cut. Yeah, he had off the field issues. I kind of disagree with the bolstering of the defense. They brought in Pat Pete. He's kind of old. Draft, they went offense in the first round with offensive line help, which did help. It's not. Well, I guess bolstering was the wrong word. I think they're going to be improved. I just think that Mike fair. Zimmer, if you give him a bunch of players and a certain amount of money, he's going to be solid and he's going to figure it out. I don't have them as an insane team by any means. But I do think they're going to finish above the Bears in this division, just with Dalvin and Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and Kirk Cousins on that offense. And the Packers, they're number one. They with the way this division is shaping up, they have a chance to win 14, 15 games this year. Even though they're not necessarily as good as some teams that you might see in like the NFC West or the Bucs or the Chiefs, they could end up a higher win total just because of, again, divisional opponents and schedule. Divisional opponents, and I also think they improved their team a good amount this offseason, especially in the draft. I think Eric Stokes, they needed a cornerback like him. Great fit for that system. Did they reach on him? Yeah, but I think that's a great fit for them. You also got Amari Rodgers, a sleeper receiver in the third round. I think that's another good fit for them. A.J. Dillon could have a good year. Their offense is loaded. It's going to be the last dance for them, but it's going to be a fun season, in my opinion, for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, moving on to the – sorry, were you saying something?
No, that's what I was going.
Perfect. All right, moving on to the NFC South. I guess I'll start this one off again. So fourth place, it's the Atlanta Falcons. They lost Julio Jones. They had Pitts, which is okay. Their defense is still horrific, in my opinion. Their draft was okay besides Pitts, too, by the way. I mean, Richie Grant they kind of reached on him. Their third round pick, Jalen Mayfield. I thought that film was one of the worst films I've seen in the entire draft. So I'm not high on that guy whatsoever. Pitt's obviously good. So I mean, not that good of a draft for the Atlanta Falcons. Also, the run game is just horrific there. So you kind of got to figure that out. And especially with a guy who's their coach again? I think it's like Arthur something. He was with the Titans.
It's Arthur Smith.
Arthur Smith, yeah, he was coming from a run-first system, and now you're doing that. I think it's a bit interesting what they're doing there. But so I'm going to go the Falcons last. Third place is going to be the New Orleans Saints. I don't really have that much faith in Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill being the quarterbacks there. I know Jameis is a starter. Taysom Hill, I don't trust at all. They have a good offense. The receiver core is really bad, if I'm being real. Actually, no Michael Thomas for a while, so I think that's going to hurt them a lot. Also, being away from home with the hurricane and all that, I think that's going to affect them a lot. Defense is okay. Their cornerback system's kind of a mess right now, other than Marshawn Lattimore. You got Bradley Roby and someone else. I forget who. They signed Bradley Roby today. They had someone else on that team. I forget who it was. But, I mean, their defense is all right. I'm going to go with them in third place. Second place, I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. I think this team has really improved. I really like Matt Rule as a head coach. Darnold, I am a bit higher on than most people. I like the connection between Darnold and Robbie Anderson. I think Robbie Anderson's going to have a big year this year. Definitely the best receiver on that team, in my opinion, better than DJ Moore when you look at that team. So overall, and you have McCaffrey, obviously. They bolster the defense as well. So I think overall, I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers in second place. In first place, I don't think this should be too much of a competition. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, bringing back all their starters from the Super Bowl. The only way I don't see them winning the division is if something catastrophic happens.
Yeah. Okay. Am I on this? So I'm gonna go bottom Falcons. I'm not gonna. I don't need to add on to what you said. I pretty much agree for the most part.
It's that simple.
Third, I have the Panthers. I do think I want to put them higher. I don't see them beating the Saints or the Bucks in any games, and obviously that means that I like the Saints more. So that's where I stand. I think Joe Brady's doing good things for that offense, and Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, safety. That should be solid, but I don't think they can beat a Saints team. Saints have a good defense. Their offense is still Alvin Kamara. Like I think they're going to be. God, it's so tough. The NFC is really, really solid, especially in those wild card teams. Even with three, It's hard. I'm trying to write some down to pick some, and it's tough, especially when you consider the NFC West, which we haven't done yet. So I won't talk about it. But,
I'm looking forward to getting to that.
So yeah, the Saints I have number 2 though, and then the Bucks. They're really good, and it's you have the greatest player of all time on your team, and a really unbelievably good defense, and somehow they re-signed everyone. Like, explain that to me. Like, I mean, understand. It doesn't make any sense. I don't get how NFL cap works, apparently, because the Chiefs somehow get to keep everyone and the Bucks somehow get to keep everyone. But
it's good management. That's how you do it. That's what the Niners did as well. They got to keep everyone. Basically, everyone they wanted back, they got back. That simple.
Yeah.
So, definitely. All right, NFC West. Or go ahead. What were you saying?
That's all. I just said that's all I got to say.
Gotcha. All right, perfect. NFC West. Let's move on to that. This is definitely the best division of football and the toughest division to predict. So, Jake, I'll put you on the spot right here. What you got for the NFC West?
Oh, Lord.
It's a tough division, dude. Like,
literally,
honestly,
I look at all of these teams and think playoffs. That is what is going through my head right now.
If you told me that the Seattle Seahawks finished in first place, I'd believe you. If you told me that the Seattle Seahawks finished in last place, I would believe you. That's the same for literally every team in that division. Niners too. I would not be surprised if the Niners finished last or if they finish and win the Super Bowl.
I am gonna go in last. I'm gonna go the Cardinals, just because I like their offense and I don't know about the defense. The offensive line is improved. They got Rodney Hudson. But you're getting so picky in this division with what a playoff team is or isn't. Like, I think all 4 of these teams would be second or first in any other division in the NFC. And
easily.
That's crazy to think about. But I'm going to go the Cardinals there. But again, it's a team where I think they're going to get 8 or 9 wins. And the only reason
I would not be surprised that every team in this division gets over 500.
I mean, it's a tall task, you know.
It's an absolute bloodbath,
and it's going to suck for some of the teams because there's going to be a very good team who happens to go 2-4 in the division and sees themselves out of the playoffs. And then third, I have the Seattle Seahawks. I think as good as Russ is, their defense again, it's just not there. And when you're playing these other teams, it comes down to the little things. Their offensive line still isn't great. I mean, you're really just relying on Russell Wilson. On defense, Jamal Adams, who is pretty overrated. And then you've got DK and Lockett out there. And as good as I think they are and as fun as they are to watch, I don't.
You got Joel's favorite receiver and DK Metcalf out there. So,
yeah.
I mean, he's a good guy, but...
Oh, God, I wrote 49ers winning the division on my sheet, but the Rams are looking good right now.
It's a tough call. As a Niners fan, I will say it's a tough call. If you put the Niners in last place, I wouldn't even be mad.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Rams second. I'm thinking about these teams playing each other, and I would pick out of all of them the Niners to beat them head to head, just because I think they are such a complete team. And if they come out and win the first few weeks, they're not going to replace Garoppolo, which I think is better for the team's success right now.
Interesting. Okay, I'm kind of the opposite, but
you know my status on Lance is I don't think he's very good. And then watching him in the preseason did not make me feel any better. But
what preseason games were you watching?
I don't know, the ones where he went like 4 for 12.
I mean, did you watch like he had like receivers drop the ball like 3 times? Yeah, there was miscues, but the receivers kept like dropping the ball all the time. And then you saw that like 80-yard touchdown.
He was Colin Kaepernicking the ball to him. He was throwing it 95 miles an hour.
I mean, he looked good from what I've seen. Also in training camp, he looked like the better quarterback, which is interesting. But they're going with Jimmy for the better experience. This is an
outside perspective, and I'm also picking the Niners to win the division. So let's.
That's fair.
So yeah, those are my predictions. Not confident whatsoever.
Oh yeah, mine are not confident whatsoever. I would not be surprised if this is in reverse order, or you just mix up all the teams, put them in some random spot. But in 4th place, I think it's interesting. My 4th place prediction is the most confident one. I think I'm going to go with Seattle Seahawks simply for the reason that they didn't really improve their team whatsoever this offseason. I mean, you added Gabe Jackson. That was it. Other than that, you didn't really do much. You lost David Moore, replaced him with Dwayne Eskridge, who, in my opinion, the Seahawks reached on in the draft. Your defense got worse. I mean, they didn't really improve that much. Looking at all the teams, the Seahawks are the least well-rounded in this division. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks in 4th place. After that, I was looking at this, trying to make notes earlier. At one point, I had the Cardinals winning the division. At one point, I had the Niners. At one point, I had the Rams. It's so hard to predict. But, man, in 3rd place, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams. Not confidently, simply because I know a lot of people are saying like they have one of the best defenses in football, yet they lost Michael Brockers, they lost Samson Ebukam, they lost John Johnson, they lost Troy Hill. Those are 4 key pieces to their defense that they all lost. So a lot of people are saying they have the best defense in football. Hold the phone right there because they lost a ton of key pieces. This team definitely regressed on defense. Offense, yeah, you got Matt Stafford. The offense is probably going to be the best in the NFC West this year. But overall, the defense, it's tough when it's such an offensively high-powered division. So I think the teams with the better defense are probably going to succeed more. Even though I have the Cardinals over the Rams, it's interesting. But I'm going to go with the Rams in 3rd place. 2nd place, it's tough. I could go Cardinals. I love the Cardinals offense. I think they did a phenomenal job. They bolstered the offensive line. They got Rondale Moore, one of my favorite receivers in the NFL. Their defense, they got J.J. Watt. You have Chandler Jones still. Zaven Collins, I really like that signing. The secondary is really the concern. The Niners are the more well-rounded team, though, but the quarterback's the concern. So it's definitely interesting. In the end, though, I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals in 1st place because I think that I love that offense. I think Cliff Kingsbury is really the only problem for that team. If I'm being completely real, if Cliff Kingsbury wasn't the head coach, I'd be so confident in the Cardinals winning the division. I'm not as confident as I am now, but I also think with the quarterback situation with the 49ers, obviously you have injuries around the wide receiver core. If they lose a wide receiver, they're done. Meanwhile, for the Cardinals, they lose a wide receiver, they got a backup right there with AJ Green or something like that. I like that a lot better for the Cardinals. I think they have more depth at some positions than the Niners do. Niners also have more depth, especially on the defensive line. But overall, I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals in 1st place, the 49ers in 2nd place. I also think 49ers right side of the offensive line is a massive question mark. And when you're going up against guys like Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt, it's going to be tough. Plus, the Cardinals have a number every year. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals in 1st place, slightly edging out the San Francisco 49ers. So close. But you can really put it. I mean, it's Jake. We both said it best. You can really put the NFC West in every order. We don't have any team in a certain place in the NFC West locked in. I think that's unlike any division that we have, which is interesting.
It's a tough situation to pick.
Definitely, for sure. All right, now on to the playoff predictions for the NFC. So I guess I'll start this off. So the 1 seed, I'm going to go with a team I am confident can get the 1 seed this year, the Green Bay Packers. They were the 1 seed last year. I think they're ready to bolster they bolstered the team a little bit this offseason. I think they're going to come back and do really well in this offseason. In the draft, they also had a really good draft. They really addressed their needs. They lost Corey Linsley, got a center, and Josh Myers. They lost, who did they lose? Oh, they lost Kevin King, who wasn't that good, got a cornerback who could be better in Eric Stokes. I really like the Green Bay Packers did this offseason, so therefore I'm going to have them as the 1 seed with the 2 seed as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's going to be a close race for that 1 seed, but those are the 2 teams I feel really confident in getting that 1-2 seed. 3rd seed, if you win the NFC West, I think you have to be higher than the 3rd seed considering how tough your division is. So therefore, the Arizona Cardinals are taking that spot right there with the Washington football team in 4th place. Again, the quarterback's definitely a bit of a concern there, so got to figure that out. 5, 6, and 7, I'm going to go the Niners at 5. 6, I'm going to go the Rams. And 7, it's between Seattle. It's between Seattle, Chicago, or Dallas. In the end, I think I'm going to go, considering how weak their division is, with the Dallas Cowboys. And I think you're probably looking at a 10-7 record for them, maybe 9-8. But considering how tough their division is, how easy their division is, I got to go with the Dallas Cowboys as a 7 seed.
Okay. I'm not going to reiterate the reasons why I think these teams in the division are. Oh, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm there. So I just blew my nose. I just took myself off the camera.
Oh, all good. The Bucks, I got number 1. Packers number 2. I just think those teams are really solid, and also again the competitive division is a little less so than the NFC West. Number 3, I got the Cowboys. I just think you're going to get a lot of wins against those NFC East opponents, and they have that high-powered offense to compete with anyone. And if they just put it together on defense, you got some solid pieces in Leighton Vander Esch. Who are those edges? DeMarcus
Lawrence and
Jalen Smith.
Yep. Or Jalen Smith's a linebacker, I think.
Yeah, I was just naming players.
They also got Micah Parsons on that team who could also play edge in the NFL.
And then the 49ers are 4th for me. Just
interesting. Okay.
I just think the amount of wins that they can get is not as many as those. Like, if you do really well in the NFC West, you're going like 4-2.
That's
and
fair.
is just not. That's not true with the other teams. Oh God, I am still just kicking myself over these card teams. Number 1, I got the Saints. I have a lot of faith in Sean Payton. I think that their defense is really solid. You still have Kamara. You're going to get Michael Thomas back. And, I mean, you saw how well they did with Taysom as the starter last year. And that's not to say that it's just you can put any quarterback in, but it's a little bit of their defense is good. Their offensive line is good. They have Alvin Kamara. Like, let's not overreact to Drew Brees retiring. Mm-hmm. Number 2, I have the Rams. I think they're going to be really solid offensively, and I know you have concerns on defense, but I mean,
they still have a good defense. Don't get me wrong. They're still one of the best defenses in football. It's just not as good as a lot of people were saying it is.
They did lose Brandon Staley, but Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald are unbelievable. So I'm going to stick with that. And then this last team, God, it was up to there's a couple close calls. Football team, Seahawks, but I ended up with the Vikings here. I have a lot of faith in Mike Zimmer being able to improve that defense onto an already good offense. And I mean, in the past, they've been a perennial playoff team before last year, right? So I see them returning to that. They just re-signed Brian O'Neill to that massive
big contract. Yeah, massive contract there.
So I just see them turning it around all around. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely a bit of differences in the playoff standings, different teams, but overall, I mean, the NFC is a bloodbath. So I guess we'll have to see what you do in the playoffs, Jake. Let's get into that right now. So 2v7, you got the Packers and Vikings Cowboys, Rams as the 3-6, and Niners, Saints as the 4-5.
Okay, Packers, Vikings. It's the Packers. I'm not messing around.
There's not
with the
much
Vikings
sweat about
winning
that. Yeah,
in
I
the
feel that.
playoffs. What is 3-6?
Cowboys and Rams in Dallas.
I'm gonna go Rams. I think. I mean, the Rams showed how competitive they can be in any game last year. I do think they have a better defense, and their offense is. Their offense is still pretty solid, and even though the Cowboys have an insane offense, I mean, first of all, you're talking about the Cowboys, so something's probably going to go wrong, and they're not even going to make the playoffs. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. What is the last matchup? 49ers Saints.
Saints at Niners. Yeah.
I'm going to go Niners.
There you go. That's the right call.
Has Jameis won a playoff game? I don't think so. Has Jameis even played in a
He's never
playoff
played in a
game?
playoff game. To be fair, though, Trey Lance will probably be the quarterback for that team. So it's both teams playing in a playoff game for their first time. So going to be interesting to see what happens there. But all right, next up for you, you have Niners and Packers and Rams and Bucks.
Well, the Niners have a track record against the Packers in the playoffs, so I'm gonna go.
They very
Niners.
much do.
Send them to the NFC Championship game, and then it's Bucks, Rams.
Yeah, Bucks Rams. Another tough game right there. There you go. Bucks right there.
Brady picks them apart.
It's Tom Brady in the playoffs. It's always going to be a tough challenge. And you got Niners at Bucks.
And I know I'm unoriginal, and I picked the Super Bowl from last year, but I have the Bucks winning and facing the Chiefs.
There you go. And your Super Bowl, actually, we'll get into Super Bowl champions once I do mine, so we can do it at the same time.
Sounds good.
Perfect. So my 2v7 is Bucks at Cowboys. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers should win that game with ease. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in football this year. So Tampa Bay winning that game. 3v6, I got Cardinals, Rams. Even though I had the Cardinals winning the division, when it comes down to one game, I think I'm going to go with Los Angeles Rams. Hold on one second. I just got a cough real quick.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that. But I think when it comes down to run game, I think you look at the Cardinals defense and you look at the Rams defense. The Rams defense definitely has the upper edge right there. So therefore, I think when it comes to one game, I'm going to go with Los Angeles Rams. And then Washington and San Francisco, I'm going to go with the Niners right there. I think it's a more well-rounded team. It's going to be a very defensive-heavy game, but I think the Niners offense definitely a bit better than the Washington offense. So I definitely think that the Niners can handle that offense a bit better. They handled it well last year with their They handled it well last year with that depleted team. Nick Mullins was really the main reason they lost the game. So I definitely think the Niners can handle the Washington football team in a playoff game and move on to the divisional round where they will play. So that my matchups are Rams, Packers, and Bucks, Niners. I got the Packers over the Rams, and the next game is tough. Ooh, boy. I'm going to go. Damn, this is tough. I want to pick the Niners, but I'm going to play it safe and go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Even though I would love to see the Niners win, I don't really think the Niners are going to win the Super Bowl this year. I'm going to have them losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it's the same matchup as the NFC Championship. Again, Bucks at Packers, but I'm going to go with the Packers winning it this year. I think the Packers are one of the best teams in football. They are the one seed in the NFC, and they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. It's that simple. And Super Bowl prediction for me, Packers and Browns. Ooh, boy. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. And honestly, that feels weird to say. If I'm being completely real, I'm being completely real. I'm not saying it as a joke. That feels really weird to say the Cleveland Browns are Super Bowl champions.
If you really believe the Browns are going to win, you should go to Vegas right now and place a bet because.
What are the odds for that? Do you know?
Let me
Cleveland. Check. Hold on, let me look. Cleveland Browns Super Bowl odds
plus 150.
It's plus 1,600 on. That's in New Jersey.
I was like.
Yeah, no, plus 1,600 to win the Super Bowl. And Packers are plus 1,400 too, by the way. So either team, that's a good bet.
Yeah.
Green Bay is actually probably the better bet. I think Green Bay has it's tough. Both teams have a good chance to win the Super Bowl, but I'm going to go Cleveland. And you have the same Super Bowl as last year. Are you going to go Kansas City? You've been raving about them all episode, Jake. Is that your Super Bowl champion?
I don't even need to say it. Kansas City.
I was talking to Nate about this because I told him that the Bills were losing the divisional, and he's like, I'm not. I was like, you have to find out who beats them. And he's like, I'm not watching it because Jake's going to put the Chiefs, and you're retarded. So, yeah, but basically that's it. So the Chiefs win the Super. So 2 AFC teams win the Super Bowl. I got the Chiefs. No, so you got the Chiefs. I got the Browns. And there are season predictions. It's going to be fun to go back to this in January. Look at them. We did that last year, so should be a good time. But Jake, you got anything else you want to say before we head off?
No. Thanks for having me back. It's been a blast. So
been a minute, yeah.
Season.
Yeah, man. It's going to be a fun season. Looking for all that. But guys, that is going to do it for this episode. I got some work to do. I got to run in a sec. But thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time. Go Niners.